Hi everyone. So I came on this live because I have just gotten one of the best pieces of advice that I've really ever heard, and I just wanted to share it with y'all. I was reading this book called You Are a Badass, and one of the things that the author Jen Sincero said was essentially just to try things. And I guess I didn't word it in the best way, but it's like, I guess you could say like, just go for it. Just see what happens. Just just go for something. Yeah, I feel like, I think about in the last 8 months or so, right? I have been on this like healing journey, and I've been reflecting a lot about how I first started. For those of y'all who are following me, I am on this like 365-day journey to become the woman I've always wanted to be. And I remember when I first decided to do this because I vlog nearly every day, and I remember like starting off when I was vlogging and being like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. We'll just see what happens, What would happen if I tried? And I think that's one of the best piece of advice that I've gotten from her is really like, just try it. Just go for it. Like if you want to start a TikTok, like just go for it. Like don't be attached to the results. Like just see what you can get away with, I think is the word that she said. Like just see what you can get away with. Like, oh, you want to start TikTok? Like, okay, cool. Like post some posts and like see what you can get away with. Like you could go viral, you could not. Like if you want to move to another country or another state, like okay, go for it. Like see like in the way of like see if you can get away with it, like see what could happen, like see what the potential is. And I feel like that kind of lighthearted perspective in terms of let's just see. Let's just see what the potential of this moment can be. I think is something really, really powerful. And that's kind of perspective that I've like unknowingly integrated into my day-to-day life. Because I think like I've been thinking a lot about how sometimes, and of course in such valid ways, like we have a tendency to take life very seriously. And of course there are a lot of serious things that happen in life. But I think that there's also this really beautiful perspective of just like, we are on this floating rock. Like the world is kind of ridiculous. Like, like we are these like beings, these spirits, these humans that just like exist in this floating rock situation. Like we don't know how long we're going to be here, but we're here, right? And what if we took this more like lighthearted perspective on life and just went for things and just like see what happened. Like if things didn't turn out, like you can like take a step back. Like if they did, like move forward, And of course, like it depends on the thing, it depends on the situation. But I've come to realize that it's like if you just tap this attitude of just like, okay, let me see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the vibe is. That you just never know. You never know, and life in that way becomes such an adventure, and it becomes such this like beautiful experience of potential, right? Which is really mind-blowing for me. But yeah, hey, hi, bettering me for me. Yeah, so that's just like the biggest and probably one of the most like important piece of advice I've ever gotten, because I have spent my whole life scared, right? Like, before I started this journey of like healing and of growing as a person, I'd always be like scared to do things, like scared to grow, like scared to like take chances, scared to like do all of these things that could have really brought me forward in life. Like I was scared to take on a new job. I was scared to like move to a city where I didn't know anyone. Like I was scared to even like talk to this person at a coffee shop that like I just wanted to be friends with, because I'm like, oh, what if they reject me? Like, what if, right? And so I lived in this world of like what ifs and like these fears of things that hadn't yet happened. And I think, you know, reading this book, like You're a Badass, and also just kind of adapting a little bit more of like a playful mentality on life has completely changed the way that like I am choosing to, I guess, make choices, right? Like, let's just see. Let just be detached from the result and just realize that life can be very playful if you allow it, you know? And I think it's so easy to get caught up in the day to day, and I do that too, like, don't get me wrong. But I think that if we take a step back and really sit in the moment to understand that like every day is like filled with choices, and those choices, like, they're so based on the perspective and how like we choose to view life, and how we choose to view, I guess, like our day-to-day existence and the weight that our day-to-day existence has. It becomes very exciting, you know. I was reading, or I was watching this YouTube video, and it was basically saying like, you know, pretend that your life is like an avatar, like you are an avatar, like, and every day, like, you know, you start leveling up, or you start, like, you know, you can like add skills and you could add like talents, and like you could take your avatar on adventures. And I think that's a really, really dope perspective on life, right? So it's like, see what you can get away with, right? Like the author of this book that I was reading, You're a Badass, she worked this corporate job while also like somehow being like this, like being signed to Columbia and like learning guitar and all this crazy stuff, right? And she adapted this and did all this because she was just like, let me just see what happens if, like, you know, we continue this music thing while having corporate careers, or like, let's just see what happens if, like, you know, I write this book, or let's just like see what happens or what I can get away with if whatever, right? And I realized that it's like I put so much weight on like little decisions, when really it doesn't have to be that way, right? Like, life is full of these like possibilities and these like alternate like universes, or like alternate like choices that we can make. And I've started, you know, even just like in this conversation of just like talking right now, is just like, wow, that's like so beautiful that like every day is filled with these like incredible choices that we can make. Like, from the moment we wake up, it's like, oh, I could choose to watch the sunrise, you know? Like, I could watch the world turn into rainbows every morning. Or I could, you know, stay in and I could like have some coffee. Or I could make like an omelet or like a smoothie, you know? Or I could choose to, I don't know, meditate. Like, there are just so many things that like you could choose just starting in the morning, right? And like, it's not to say that it's like, oh, like watching the sunrise is like better than like staying in and sleeping in and like drinking coffee. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like, wow, that's beautiful, right? We make a million choices, and those little choices make up this like fabric, this quilt of our lives, right? And every day we're just sewing this little quilt, you know? So yeah, it's really quite exciting. And yeah, so that's kind of the best and the biggest piece of advice that I had today. You know, I think what's really important, even like throughout life, no matter how old you are, no matter, you know, what you're doing in life, is to always be a student of life. And I think it's a beautiful thing to like read books. You know, I love self-development books. Like, I don't know what I would do without them, you know? And so yeah, reading books like You're a Badass, like, you know, if I've spent hours of my life, days of my life, like learning subjects and studying for classes in school that like I haven't really applied. Like, why wouldn't I integrate that same level of intensity on developing myself in ways where I know that I struggle with, right? Like, I'm literally reading a book about self-sabotage because I struggle with self-sabotage, right? So yeah, that is how I feel about that, and that is the best piece of advice that I've ever gotten. It is to see what you can get away with, and just take a chance, because you never know what life has in store for you. All right, well, that's it. I'm gonna go enjoy the night, live a little beautiful evening, and I wish everyone the best and have a beautiful night. Bye, everyone.